I had a genetic disorder that caused me to lose my memories of loved ones every Christmas. For 5 years, Miles Vance had been my partner. Each time it happened, he would patiently take me to the places we had shared, helping me fall for him all over again. Feeling guilty, I started writing a journal to preserve our memories. When my condition struck again, I brought my completed journal to Miles's office with a smile. This time, my journal remembered you for me. But Miles didn't smile back. He rubbed his temples, looking exhausted. After a long pause, he finally spoke quietly. "Ivy, Nora is pregnant. I have to take responsibility. After she gives birth, I'll send her overseas. You'll forget anyway. Just bear with it this year. Next year, things can go back to normal." The man before me seemed nothing like the one in my journal. Even without the memories of loving him for years, a sharp ache spread through my chest in that moment. Please subscribe for more exciting videos like this. Miles kept explaining. "What happened between Nora and me was a drunken mistake. She grew up without family, like you. She wants to keep the baby, and I'm respecting that choice. I'll stay with her until the birth to make it up to you. After I send her and the child abroad, I'll only have monthly financial contact with her." When I remained frozen, Miles sighed. He moved to embrace me. I retreated until my back hit the wall and shouted, "Don't touch me." Miles stopped. But he was still close, and his familiar scent surrounded me. Suddenly, I pictured him tangled in bed with Nora Webb. Before I could stop myself, I said, "You're disgusting. You really are." Miles's face went dark. He knocked the journal from my hand, his voice cold. "I made one drunken mistake. Do you have to act like this? All you had before this year was that silly journal you wrote to remember pieces of us. For 5 years, I patiently helped you remember every time. Did I ever call you stupid? Did I ever say you were a burden?" I stared at him, fighting tears that spilled anyway. When Miles saw me crying, irritation crossed his face. He looked away and noticed the journal had fallen open. One glance showed him what was written. "Miles Vance is the most important person in your life. Don't forget him. The more you write, the fewer places he'll have to take you. That way, Miles won't get so tired." Miles stiffened, realizing he had said something wrong. But he didn't apologize. Instead, his tone was half coaxing, half warning. "Fighting me won't change anything. The wedding will happen as planned. Nora is in her first trimester and at risk of miscarriage. I'll care for her for a few days. Use that time to think things through." With that, Miles left. When the door closed, I collapsed, clutching my chest as pain overwhelmed me. A breeze ruffled the journal pages. I saw the wedding date I had marked in bold so I wouldn't forget. It was only a week away. Below it was a card from Mrs. Hart, the group home director, with a message. "If you're ever hurt, come home. The group home doors are always open to you." I picked it up, feeling like I had finally found solid ground. After calming down, I booked a plane ticket for the wedding day. Then I began planning the gift I would give Miles at the ceremony. I went home alone. When I turned on the lights, I saw the flowers in the living room. I remembered my journal entry about meeting Miles. At 20, I had given up college to work at a flower shop, helping support the younger kids at the group home. When the manager was away, men would harass me. They would stare when I bent down, and some would even touch me. That was when Miles appeared. He grabbed one man and threw him out. Before the man could complain, Miles threatened, "If you cause trouble, I'll show the security footage to the police." The man fled. After that, Miles became my only friend. Later, after we got together, Miles bought fresh flowers daily and put them in a vase. He said it was to remember the day we met. Today, for the first time, the flowers had wilted. They looked like what our relationship had become. My eyes stung. I looked away. In bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The bedroom door suddenly opened. I sat up to see Miles. Behind him stood his secretary, Nora Webb. Guilt flickered in Miles's eyes as he explained, Nora wanted to apologize about the baby. She said she couldn't sleep otherwise. She got caught in the rain. I'm getting her a change of clothes. You two can talk. Miles left. Nora, who had seemed apologetic, now acted like she owned the place. She looked around and touched the furniture. Not bad. I could move right in later. I frowned but said nothing. Then Nora picked up a glass globe. I had forgotten what it was, but my body reacted before my mind. I reached for it. Nora smiled and let it drop. Glass shattered across the floor. I couldn't control myself. I slapped her. The next second, Miles returned and shoved me to the floor. Glass cut my palm, and the pain drained my face. Miles's furious voice rang out. Ivy, you hit a pregnant woman over some cheap trinket? What's wrong with you? Nora started crying. Ivy, I'm sorry I broke it and sorry about the pregnancy. I already apologized. I was drunk that night. Please don't threaten me to terminate the baby, okay? When Miles heard that, his forehead veins throbbed. Ivy, I didn't know you could be so cruel. I hadn't spoken, but suddenly I laughed. Then I cried. When I found my voice, it was calm, almost defeated. Miles, we've been together 5 years. You didn't even ask me before believing her? Miles hadn't expected my reaction. Uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Seeing that, Nora clutched her stomach and grabbed his hand. Miles, my stomach hurts. Is the baby okay? Can you take me to the hospital? His thoughts scattered, Miles picked her up and left. Soon, I was alone. I looked at the floor. Blood had spread everywhere, yet I felt no pain. I stood and remembered my journal. That glass globe was one of 99 gifts Miles gave me when he proposed. He had made it by hand. It had been my favorite. Now, according to him, it was worthless junk. For the next several days, Miles didn't appear. 2 days before the wedding, his assistant took me to the bridal salon. I tried on the wedding dress I had designed a year ago. I didn't know when Miles arrived, but he wrapped his arms around me from behind. He sighed softly. I knew you'd look beautiful in a wedding dress. I was right. For a moment, I felt like I had gone back 2 years. After losing my memory then, I had fallen for Miles again. I hadn't wanted him to suffer yearly, so I suggested breaking up. Miles cried and begged me to stay. Ivy, you can't do this. It's not fair. I held back tears. But I don't know what else to do, Miles. I forget every year. I don't want to keep hurting you. He wiped my tears and said solemnly, then marry me. I swear I'll never betray you. Every time you forget and see our marriage certificate, you'll fall in love with me again. His words had been so sincere that I wrote them down exactly. But reality had betrayed me. Miles had cheated and gotten another woman pregnant. My heart ached with a sharp, prickling pain. Ivy, you've lost weight. Miles's voice pulled me back. I didn't argue. I could feel it myself. Pain makes you lose weight. Even without memories, I was no exception. When I didn't respond, loneliness flickered in Miles's eyes. Just as he was about to change into his suit, his phone rang. He hadn't hidden Nora's pregnancy, so he answered openly. I was close enough to hear Nora's tearful voice. Miles, I'm bleeding. I'm so scared. His expression tightened. I'll be right there. After hanging up, Miles started to leave. For some reason, I spoke up. Miles, because of her, we haven't taken wedding portraits. Are you really leaving without even trying on your suit? He hesitated, torn. But in the end, he chose Nora. Before leaving, he said, she needs me now. I'll come back after I stay with her a while. Wait for me, okay? It was phrased as a question, but he didn't wait for my answer. I smiled faintly, but the sour ache in my chest remained. It started raining. Miles didn't send anyone for me. I waited at the salon from day until night. Finally, a staff member came over. "Ms. Lane, we're closing." I snapped back to reality and realized how long I had waited. I nodded. Before leaving, I glanced at the dress and told the staff, "Let the waist out about an inch. The bride is pregnant. Also, make the veil thicker. Thick enough that you'd have to get close to see her face clearly." The staff nodded, glancing at my flat stomach. I didn't explain. I just left. Perhaps out of guilt, Miles sent me many texts the next day. Some comforted me, others asked what I wanted. One message said, "Miles, we're not supposed to see each other the day before the wedding. After the ceremony, I'll spend proper time with you." I didn't reply. I packed my suitcase. Maybe because I was finally going home, I couldn't sleep that night. I stared out the window. At dawn, I heard the doorbell. I opened the door to find Nora, just as expected. I had met her before and told her I would give her my place as the bride. She hadn't believed me, but she was willing to take the chance. After she came in, she looked around. Many of my things were gone. Once Nora realized I wasn't lying, she softened. I could see the excitement she could barely hide at marrying Miles. "At least you know your place. Even if it's not me today, the woman by Miles's side will only ever be me." I said nothing. When the makeup artist arrived, I told her to work on Nora. She looked shocked, but time was short, so she followed instructions. I carried my suitcase downstairs. I had no friends, so the bridesmaids were hired. They didn't know I was the real bride, so they didn't stop me. I got into the car smoothly and headed for the airport. Miles got into his car with his friends and groomsmen. Along the way, people teased him. "Miles, are you really marrying her like this? Won't you regret it?" Everyone knew about my memory loss. They had also tried to persuade Miles to choose someone else. But Miles's answer was firm, as always. "She's the only woman I'll ever marry." Cheers and teasing followed. Miles didn't respond. It should have been a joyful day, but a bad feeling suddenly struck him. He checked his phone, but still had no reply from me. The drive wasn't far, but his unease made it feel endless. When they arrived at the house, Miles quickly got out. He breezed through the bridesmaids' silly challenges. When he pushed open the door and saw the person sitting there, his anxiety eased. His lips curved as he said to Ivy Lane, "Ivy, I'm here to marry you." When Nora heard that name, panic stirred in her. As Miles walked closer, her hands curled into fists. She still didn't want to be discovered, at least not before the ceremony ended. But things didn't go her way. When Miles was one step away, he stopped. Something felt wrong. The figure was wrong. The scent was wrong. Even the way she sat was wrong. Ignoring the protests, Miles yanked off the veil. The moment he saw her face, his expression tightened, his eyes turning icy. "Nora, why is it you?" Gasps erupted around them. Everyone knew today's bride was supposed to be Ivy Lane, not Nora Webb. Miles's presence intimidated Nora. She shrank back. With no confidence, she explained, "Ivy wanted to switch places with me." Miles rejected it instantly. "That's impossible. Ivy loved him too much to do something like that. Besides, they had already agreed it would only be for 1 year." Seeing no one believed her, Nora told them what had happened that day. When I met Nora, the sky was clear. Knowing Miles was in a meeting, I went to the hospital. Nora was on guard, protecting her stomach. "There are cameras everywhere. If you do anything to my baby, I won't let you get away with it. Miles won't either." I ignored her and said calmly, "I just want to talk." "It concerns you and the baby." Perhaps because I was too calm, Nora followed me to a cafe nearby. I got straight to the point. "Miles and I are having our wedding." Nora tightened her grip on her cup. Before she could speak, I continued. "I'm willing to step aside. On the wedding day, you'll be the bride, and I'll leave." Nora froze. It took her a while to recover, and she looked at me with suspicion. "I don't believe you'd be that kind." I turned to look out the window and murmured, "I'm not doing this out of kindness. I'm disappointed, and I don't want to continue." After saying that, I stood up. "Makeup starts at 5 on Monday morning. I'll be waiting for you." When Miles heard disappointed, his throat went dry. It took him a while to find his voice. "Then where is she? Where is she now?" Nora shook her head. "She didn't tell me." Only then did Miles notice many of Ivy's things were missing. Realizing something, he called his assistant. "Find Ivy's flight. Stop her before the plane takes off." After hanging up, Miles smashed the bedroom. With bloodshot eyes, he looked at Nora. "Didn't I tell you, aside from the baby, you weren't allowed to covet what wasn't yours?" Nora burst into tears. Over the past few days, Miles had stayed by her side. Whatever she wanted, he found it. She thought she mattered to him. Only now did she realize she didn't. He had only been taking responsibility. The bedroom was suffocatingly quiet. 10 minutes later, his assistant called. "I'm sorry, Mr. Vance. I couldn't find any flight or train information for Ms. Lane." All strength left Miles's body. He collapsed onto the floor. I had taken neither a plane nor a train. Instead, like when I first came to this city with Miles, I took the ferry. I wasn't from this city. I had only met Miles when he was in college in my hometown. Later, after he graduated, I followed him here. Mrs. Hart had always looked out for me, and after I gave up college, she felt guilty. On the day I left, she woke up early to see me off. The journal I wrote in was a gift from her. Over 5 years, I had read her message many times. I just never thought Miles would betray me. I also never thought I would end up fleeing like this. The ferry departed. In my seat, I swayed with emotion. I closed my eyes, feeling a little sick. Suddenly, someone tapped me. I turned to see a blister pack of motion sickness pills. A girl looked at me with concern. "You look sick. Take one." The scene reminded me of Miles. The first time I took a ferry, I got seasick. I hadn't prepared anything and didn't want to worry Miles, so I kept quiet. But my face gave me away. Miles noticed. "Are you feeling sick?" I nodded. He pulled motion sickness pills from his backpack. With a stern expression, he helped me take them. "Why didn't you tell me?" I answered honestly, "I didn't think it would help, and I didn't want you to worry." That only made him angrier. "But Ivy, I'm your boyfriend, not a stranger. You don't have to be so careful around me." I nodded guiltily. It took me a long time to coax him into forgiving me. That memory had been so warm that I had written it in my journal. I never thought there would be someone who reminded me of Miles that much. I accepted the pills and thanked her. She said fresh air might help if I still felt sick. I nodded. When passengers were allowed on deck, I went up. But every scene from my journal seemed branded in my mind. Looking at the ocean, I thought of Miles again. That year, he had also taken me onto the deck. I was standing too close to the edge, and he carefully pulled me back. He held me tightly. "Do you know my heart almost stopped when I saw you standing there? If you fell in, where would I find you? Promise me you won't put yourself in danger. You know I can't live without you." His promises still echoed in my ears, but the man who made them was gone. I looked away, refusing to think about Miles anymore. When I got off the ferry, I tore out every page in my journal about him. After throwing them into the trash, I followed the crowd and left. The wind lifted my hair, as if saying goodbye to my old self. When I returned to Maple Grove Children's Home, Mrs. Hart's eyes reddened at the sight of me. The younger kids crowded around me. Seeing I had come back alone, Mrs. Hart didn't ask questions. She made me something good to eat and prepared a room. Every day after that, I helped her take care of the kids. I played games with them, cooked, and hung laundry with Mrs. Hart. It was almost as if everything with Miles had been a dream, and I had never left. That would have been true if Miles hadn't shown up. I saw him when Mrs. Hart and I returned from getting supplies. He was still in his suit, standing at the group home entrance. Hearing us, he turned. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up, his voice almost aggrieved. "Ivy, I finally found you." I had told Miles I was an orphan from a group home. But I had never told him which one. I hadn't expected him to find me, and I hadn't expected him so quickly. Not wanting Mrs. Hart to worry, I asked her to go inside. Then I pulled Miles aside. My voice was calm, emotionless. "What are you doing here?" This was the first time I had been so cold to Miles. Even when I lost my memory before, I had still been curious about him. Miles stiffened. He lowered his head and pleaded, "Ivy, don't treat me like this." "Then how do you want me to treat you? Do you want me to stay, forget you slept with another woman, and watch her give birth to your child?" "Miles, I may forget things, but that doesn't mean I can't feel pain." After saying what needed to be said, I turned toward the group home. But Miles grabbed my hand and gave in. "If you don't want her to have the baby, I'll make her terminate it. If you never want to see her again, I'll send her away now. Please don't leave me. I don't want us to end." I stared at Miles in disbelief. He had done wrong, yet he was making me the villain. But the old Miles hadn't been like this. The reason I had first befriended him was because he took responsibility. The day after the man harassed me and fled, he returned with people to the flower shop. The shop was full. The man held a metal rod and shouted, "Which little bastard hit me yesterday?" Afraid Miles would get hurt, I pushed him toward the back. But he stood still and comforted me. "Don't be afraid. Nothing will happen." Then Miles walked out. "I'm the one you want. Don't hurt anyone who has nothing to do with this." Sunlight had fallen over him that day, and the sight had felt right. Now, he only felt like a stranger. I pulled my hand free. My voice was soft but firm. "Miles, we can't go back. Don't come here again." I thought after giving Miles a clear answer, he would leave. Instead, he stayed and bought many things: school supplies, essentials, and treats. Everything was top quality, the kind of things the kids rarely had. Seeing their happiness, I couldn't make him take everything away. So I let him stay and play with the children. Watching them run and laugh, I remembered my journal entry. I hope one day I can bring Miles to the group home to play with the younger kids. In my imagination, the kids would like Miles. They would ask him to play their favorite games. Miles would change into comfortable clothes and run with them. In reality, that's exactly what happened. Sunlight fell on Miles as he ran. Like the kids, he was covered in sweat. But he showed no impatience. He smiled the whole time. If I had to say what was different, it was the relationship between us. When it was time to cook, I left to find Mrs. Hart. While washing vegetables, Mrs. Hart glanced at me several times. I knew she was worried, so I didn't hide it. "Miles and I are over. I won't go back, so please don't worry." "Don't worry." Mrs. Hart could tell I didn't want to say more, so she didn't ask. But she could also tell Miles had hurt me. That was why her attitude toward him was neither warm nor cold. That night, Miles asked to stay. Before I could answer, Mrs. Hart rejected him. "This place isn't suited to someone of your status, and we don't have spare rooms." "I'm sorry." I didn't expose her excuse or look at Miles. But I felt his gaze on me the entire time. As if knowing that path wouldn't work, Miles started bringing me flowers, in addition to treats for the children. He kept it up for a month. He also seemed to have no job, spending every day at the group home. Even when I treated him coldly and threw the flowers away, Miles only looked disappointed and kept trying. The day the treat cabinet grew fuller, I finally couldn't hold back and decided to talk to Miles. The light in his eyes dimmed as I spoke. "Miles, I told you I won't go back. Stop wasting your time on me. And do you understand the group home doesn't have much money? You keep buying treats. Have you thought about what happens when the kids get used to having them? If you keep this up, you'll only make me hate you more. Miles looked helpless. He grabbed his hair and groaned. Then what am I supposed to do? I really don't know what else to do, Ivy. I know I was wrong. I just want one more chance. I shook my head and, like I used to, gently touched his head. There are no more chances, Miles. Stop holding on. Please let us part on decent terms. The moment I said please, Miles fled in near panic. After that day, I never saw Miles again. My life finally returned to peace. The only news I got about Miles came from a TV report. Nora's family had found out what happened. They confronted Miles and pressured him to marry Nora. You took my daughter's innocence. If you don't marry her, what will she do? Who would ever marry my daughter after this? They brought reporters, and cameras captured everything. The video caused a wave of public discussion. The scandal grew too big. The Vance family had no choice but to agree to the marriage. But no one expected Nora to miscarry. To give her time to recover, the wedding was postponed to the following year. When the report ended, I turned off the TV. The first snow came early that year. Opening the window, I saw everything covered in white. I couldn't describe what I felt. The only thing I knew for certain was that I wasn't sad. Time passed, and another Christmas arrived. I got up early, preparing flowers and keepsakes with Mrs. Hart before visiting the graves of children who had died from illness. I had walked that path for many years. Compared to the first time I came here, I felt much calmer this time. Mrs. Hart's voice sounded beside me. Are you still scared this year? In the past, coming here chilled me, and I would have nightmares. Now, I only felt sorry for them. I shook my head honestly. No. They were children abandoned by their families who died from illness. There's nothing to be scared of. Besides, the younger kids are still young, and those who grow up leave. If I don't come, you'll be the only one visiting them. That would be so lonely. Just like when I was little, Mrs. Hart gently patted my head. When we came down from the cemetery and returned to the group home, I saw someone. He felt unfamiliar, yet somehow familiar. His gaze fell on me, but he didn't speak first. Seeing Mrs. Hart didn't stop, I kept walking too. After only a few steps, I heard a woman scream, "You came to see her again? Then what am I to you?" The man impatiently shook her off. Didn't I marry you at City Hall, like you wanted? What more do you want? You forced me to marry you. Now whatever I do, you'll have to live with it. Their argument grew louder. I couldn't help turning back, only to meet the man's red-rimmed eyes. Mrs. Hart stopped and looked at me. What are you thinking? I shook my head, but couldn't help saying it anyway. The two of them looked so pitiful. Mrs. Hart asked, why do you think that? They don't look like they love each other. Being with someone you didn't love, becoming a family with them, sounded far too bitter. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that. I could stay by Mrs. Hart's side for the rest of my life. The end.
Thank you for listening to Moonlit Love Novella. Please like, subscribe, and share.